Alright, in this video I'm going to attempt to solve a fairly complicated trig integral. So let's start with the integral of the sine to the fourth of theta, d theta. Alright, so in order to solve this we need to know some sort of identities, some trig identities. So let's remind ourselves the trig identity that is sine squared theta equals 1/2 times 1 minus cosine of 2 theta. So this is a trig identity that is most likely introduced to you in pre-calculus. So we also need to know one more trig identity. So that other one is cosine squared theta is equal to, very similar, 1/2 1 plus cosine 2 theta. Alright, so now that we know those, let's go ahead and try to attempt to solve this. So if we know that sine squared theta is 1/2 1 minus cosine 2 theta, we can rewrite this as the integral of 1/2 1 minus cosine 2 theta and the whole thing squared, since it's sine to the fourth theta. So we have sine squared theta is that. So we square it to get an equivalent expression. So from here what we can do is we can multiply these out. So we get the integral of 1/4 1 minus cosine 2 theta squared d theta. So the 1/4 is a constant, so we're going to take it out. So we're going to take out the 1/4. So we get 1/4 the integral of once again 1 minus cosine 2 theta squared d theta. So from here we're gonna let's try and expand this, since we still cannot do we still can't do any u subs, or well, we might be able to do u sub here for cosine 2 theta, but then we would get the derivative of that would be sine 2 theta, which we would run into some more problems. So let's expand this and see what we can do. So this is the same thing as so let's expand that right to the side right here. So we get 1 minus cosine 2 theta times 1 minus cosine 2 theta. Okay, so we're going to use FOIL to expand this. So 1 times 1 times negative cosine 2 theta. So we have cosine of 2 theta, and then negative cosine 2 theta times 1 again, so minus cosine 2 theta, and then negative cosine 2 theta times negative cosine 2 theta, so it's plus cosine of squared of 2 theta. Okay, so let's simplify a little bit. So this comes out to negative 2 cosine 2 theta. So 1 minus 2 cosine 2 theta plus cosine squared of 2 theta. Okay, so this right here is this expanded. So let's go ahead and rewrite it as the expanded version. So we have 1/4 the integral of 1 minus 2 cosine 2 theta plus cosine squared theta, or plus cosine squared 2 theta. Alright, so once again, and d theta. So once again we have cosine squared here, so we still can't take the derivative of this by hand, so we have to use identity one more time. So let's go ahead and move right here. So let's, instead of cosine squared of 2 theta, we're going to use the identity, and we're going to write it in terms of just cosine of 2 theta. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have 1/4 the integral of 1 minus 2 cosine 2 theta. Instead of cosine squared 2 theta, we're going to write plus 1/2 1 plus cosine 4 theta. This is very important here. This one's not 2 theta, it's 4 theta, because this angle right here is already 2 theta. So you need the double of this angle right here in order to use the identity. So cosine 4 theta. So from here it looks fairly simple to integrate by hand, so let's go ahead and just simplify things and integrate. So we have 1/4 the integral of 1 minus 2 cosine 2 theta plus 1/2 plus 1/2 cosine of 4 theta d theta. Okay, so from here we can just integrate each of these terms. So the integral of 1 is theta. Integral of 1 d theta is theta minus the integral of negative 2 cosine 2 theta is just sine 2 theta, because the derivative of sine 2 theta is negative 2 cosine 2 theta. Okay. Plus 1/2, the integral of 1/2 is just theta over 2. And then the integral of 1/2 cosine 4 theta is sine 4 theta over 8. Because if you take the derivative of this, you're gonna get cosine of 4 theta times 4. So we need it to be 1/2 cosine 4 theta, so we divide that by 8. All right, and then this whole thing divided by, or multiplied by 1/4. So from here we can either leave it as that, or we can just distribute the 1/4 to every term. So first let's add theta and a theta over 2. So that's 3 theta over 2. So let's go ahead and multiply this also. So we get 3 theta over 8, because it was 3 theta over 2 times 1/4, minus sine 2 theta over 4 plus sine 4 theta over 4 times 8, 32. And this right here is our answer.